All right, first of all, how about those Bears? It's been a great fall for Missouri State football specifically. So just to kind of jump into it, we will be submitting a request for postseason consideration to the NCAA. Now, whether that goes through or not, that's going to be out of our control. So we're going to try and control the controllables and control what Missouri State can control. One of those things is going to be competing this weekend against UTEP for homecoming. That's something that we can do and we can control. Another thing that we're going to be able to do is really invest into this program. That's one thing that is top of mind for us right now. We poured $11 million into this program in the off season, and that's not going to stop anytime soon. We are actively fundraising. In fact, there's probably going to be some information that comes out later this week on some things that we got coming down the pipe. So we're excited about that. We're not going to slow down, and we're going to keep pushing this thing as fast as we can, as responsibly as we can. Obviously, last year was our first year in the transition. We weren't able to go to the FCS playoffs with an 8-4 record, and we only had 63 scholarships. So we were still at the FCS level of roster, and still weren't allowed to go. So if we have to play the waiting game and see how the rest of the season plays out and look at the scoreboards, and we'll worry about that. Our football team can worry about competing on the field, but we can worry about that as an administration. And I talked to Commissioner McLeod over the weekend in Lynchburg. She was at the game. So I know that Conference USA is going to put our best efforts for us out there across the country. So we're just excited about it, and we're just thrilled with the way Coach Beard and his staff have put us into this position. I bet I could go around town and ask how many people expected us to be in this situation, and I'm not going to think that there's going to be too many people who thought that we would have 6 wins by November, what is today, the 11th. So we're excited about it, and we're excited about everything that's still to come over the next 3 weeks.
Yeah. Doing this only 3 weeks in the regular season, are you expecting like a relatively swift response from the NCAA? And this does count, like Conference USA championship game and bowl, right?
Swift response, probably. Well, I don't know. We'll wait and see on swift response. But we'll be submitting that request. In terms of championship game, I don't believe that a championship game is in the cards. Is the way I understand it. Maybe I'm wrong, but I do think that we can win a regular season championship. Whether that puts us into a championship game, I don't believe that's the case. But we can ask those questions at the appropriate time. We got a lot of work to do, right? We got to start with this weekend in UTEP, and then we'll go from there.
So there's the waiver scenario, and there's another scenario where none of the teams qualify for that 6-win mark. Can you kind of explain that process?
Yep.
Have you guys kind of discussed that as well?
Yeah, so this happened to multiple teams in the past, JMU being one of them, Jacksonville State being one of them, where there weren't enough bowl-eligible teams with 6 wins to fit into the 82 slots that all the bowl games have. So if there are less than 82 teams, 80, 81, 79, doesn't matter, we can slide into one of those slots, provided there's opportunity. Now, there's another, Delaware also, they've got 3 more games left and could also reach that 6-win total. So we could actually have 2 teams from Conference USA in that exact same scenario. But this has happened before. I think it's happened even before this. For some of the teams that have transitioned here recently, we've had 5 and 7 teams go to bowl. I think there is an example of this opportunity presenting itself, and we'll see how this season plays out.
APR there too. Would you slide ahead of a 5-win team, or are we getting ahead of ourselves talking about that? But how does it work now?
I need to clarify, but I believe we would be ahead of 5-win teams.
That's what I wanted to ask. You mentioned James Madison, the year that they appealed, and they were an 11-win team that year.
Right.
So 6 wins is one thing, 7, 8 wins, does it make a better case for the Bears, make the case any more likely?
I think it doesn't hurt, right? Any time that you can expand your win total, I think is a good thing. I think that even when you're talking about potentially teams in the same conference. Having a better win-loss record matters. So I think it provides another feather in the cap that we can continue to talk about and place calls around the country and put ourselves in the best position to be chosen at the end of the day.
Patrick, do you invest any hypothetical labor or manpower in kind of prepping in case, or do you just have to wait until it happens?
We've already started that.
Okay.
So to be crystal on this, you don't need an NCAA waiver if there's not enough teams that are with 6 wins.
Correct.
Okay.
So you look back at like Georgia Southern did the same thing in 2014, and JMU, they got denied. But if you were to not be denied, that'd be pretty precedent-setting. I think it would probably.
Certainly. I mean, obviously, the rule is very antiquated, right? This was put into place decades ago, in a time where you were capped on your signing classes. So you couldn't really expand your roster very quickly, right? So it was designed with good intentions and being able to allow teams not to cut corners and build a program the right way. Obviously, every single rule since then has changed, and we live in a completely different world. And so does the rule probably need to be modernized? In my opinion, yes. I was at App State when JMU went through all this, so we were in the same conference. It's just a very, very silly rule that really impacts our student athletes. Coach Beard said it great earlier. We need to be able to, in this industry, make decisions based on our student athletes and how this impacts them, and because this is why we're all here, right? I mean, you guys are covering us because we've got student athletes who 450 of them who are competing every day, and we're graduating them out and making them great leaders in this world. And so that's really who we should be putting at the forefront. So I hope that over time that we can probably look at this rule and say it's a bit antiquated.
You've dealt with the NCAA a lot over your career, obviously, and just being around college athletics so much. Why do you think these rules just kind of keep falling year to year? Right, like you said, I think like everyone in this room, everyone outside this room knows it's a silly rule, but nothing changes it. Just why is that?
I think when you're trying to be a governing body of 130 something FBS programs, 350 Division I programs, decision making takes a long time, right? Trying to get everybody on the same page, and you do have some people out there that, well, if we had to go through it, they're going to have to go through it, right? That have that kind of attitude, and so it's just a really hard industry to get things done quickly. I think we've all, bear witness to that over the past 5-6 years. As quickly as things have changed recently, we could have avoided a lot of it over the last decade if we would have just been a little bit more proactive. And I wish we could probably have a scenario where there was someone who we could give a little bit more power and authority to make decisions.
Do we know why the transition rule applies to not playing for a conference title? I mean, obviously, there's still 2 undefeated teams. They'll both play this weekend, so one of them will get a loss. But it's been my understanding, because I've even emailed the league office, and Josh has said, no, in your first year, you don't get to play in the conference title game, even if you quote-unquote qualify.
Yeah, I don't know the exact reasoning. I can assume maybe some of it is you would hate to have a team go and win it, and then that's it. And is that embarrassing to the league? I don't know. I think I could argue both sides of that. It is what it is. We'll play by the rules. We know the rules when we made this transition, but certainly we're going to do everything in our power to make sure that we back our student athletes and our coaching staff and in the way that we need to.
You said a minute ago this was based on roster construction, kind of an antiquated rule. In your mind, is this something that should have been addressed hand in hand when NIL came into effect?
Probably, yes. You can certainly make that argument. I mean, obviously, there was a lot going on, and I think you're dealing with a bunch of issues, and there's a bunch of ancillary issues, this being one of them. Next year there won't be any transitioning teams, so it only pops its head up every once in a while. And to be perfectly honest, I need to go back through time, really maybe to the mid-'90s, and count how many teams have even reached 6 wins. It's not many. I can't imagine it's much more than 3 or 4. And we've seen a couple of them here recently because you can manage your roster in a modern way and be able to compete a lot earlier. So, yeah.
Just upcoming homecoming, and you know we've seen so many new things in the stadium. We've been holding anything back, waiting for this game, or anything else you kind of are going to put on display for the people in attendance.
I mean, we just want to make sure that our homecoming, homecoming is such a good tradition for college athletics, college football specifically. It's a tradition that isn't really replicated a whole lot of places, and it's special. You got the homecoming court, and you got all the floats, and you got the parade on Saturday morning. It's something that makes college athletics and college football really, really special. The pageantry of everything. So we're gonna. There's always something up our sleeves, but I guess people are going to have to buy a ticket and come to the game and find out.
How you might say that.
Patrick, I know as an AD, right, you want every sport to succeed, but can you just talk about what it means to a school, to a community, when a football team is winning, what that does to infect the rest of the area, the rest of the sports?
Yeah, I mean, the amount of pride, I think, that gets certainly ramped up within not only our athletic programs across the board, but also from your alumni and the people who live in that town, this one being Springfield. I mean, I was at lunch talking to an owner of a restaurant, and he said that, when the Bears do good, it's good for business. So I can't imagine that's not the case throughout the town of Springfield. And a successful football program matters, and it matters a lot. The amount of exposure that we have gotten since really July 1 to now is unprecedented. We're actively trying to put it kind of all together so that we can tell a story, maybe in the month of December, to where we can kind of point to a moment in time and say, this is when we really started to take these steps and take the university from here to here. That's why we did this. That's why our administration, President Williams, our Board of Governors have invested in this program and made sure that we can have moments like this, right? To be on national television, to have people texting you from all over the country. Hey, we're watching the Bears. That hasn't been the case before. So, when we look back and say we wanted all of this to happen and then now it has happened, I think it really justifies the efforts that's been put into this program over the past few years.
But regarding the bowl eligibility and all that stuff, would you say that as annoying as it could be, is it also a great problem to have first year?
Talking about the Bears. Anytime we're talking about the Bears is a good thing. So, we've put ourselves in a position that we can have this conversation. And that's really all you can do in sports is put yourself in position and let the chips fall where they fall.